Guys, when we look back at this election in the future, it's very possible that we're going to say this moment right here in the first debate is the moment that Trump lost the 2024 race. And I say that because, look, there's a minefield for any Republican candidate running for any office in the country at a national level. The minefield is, look, no matter what you say, Americans do not trust you on the issue of abortion. They don't agree with you. The overwhelming majority of Americans are not with their anti-choice nonsense. The other one is, look, you got to shut up about the 2020 election. You lost. You're wrong. www.moveon.org. I think MoveOn that's the real MoveOn, right? There's a group called MoveOn. Anyway, these things are non-negotiable for Americans. If you want to win moderates, you want to win centrists and swing voters, if you want to get a majority in this country, you don't have a choice. You got to moderate on abortion, become more reasonable, and you have to totally drop the 2020 election denialism. And even probably come out and be like, yeah, Trump lost. We're done here, right? But they can't do it. They can't do it. So here's Trump. The funny thing is, he knows these are weaknesses. He knows the abortion thing is a weakness, but he still couldn't fend off the Kamala talking points, and he couldn't answer the question directly, hey, will you sign a national abortion ban? He dodged it. But this one, look, I think Trump deep down knows this is a weakness for him too, but he can't help himself. He cannot help himself with denying the results of the 2020 election. So let's watch it. Let's take a look at this moment, and then we'll break it down.
You said that sarcastically. You know that. It was said, oh, we lost by a whisker. That was said sarcastically. Look, there's so much proof. All you have to do is look at it. And they should have sent it back to the legislatures for approval. I got almost 75 million votes, the most votes any sitting president has ever gotten. I was told if I got 63, which was what I got in 2016, you can't be beaten. The election, people should never be thinking about an election as fraudulent. We need two things. We need walls. And we have to have it. We have to have borders, and we have to have good elections. Our elections are bad. And a lot of these illegal immigrants coming in, they're trying to get them to vote. They can't even speak English. They don't even know what
100% lie
country they're in practically. And these people are trying to get them to vote. And that's why they're allowing them to come into our country.
I did watch all of these pieces of video. I didn't detect the sarcasm. Lost by a whisker. We didn't quite make it. And we should just point out here as clarification, and you know this, you and your allies, 60 cases in front of many judges, many of them Republican.
No judge looked at it.
And said
they said we didn't have standing. That's the other thing. They said we didn't have standing, a technicality. Can you imagine a system where a person in an election doesn't have standing? The president of the United States doesn't have standing. That's how we lost. If you look at the facts, and I'd love to have you do a special on it, I'll show you Georgia, and I'll show you Wisconsin, and I'll show you Pennsylvania, and I'll show you. We have so many facts and statistics, but you know what? That doesn't matter, because we have to solve the problem that we have right now. That's old news.
I love that he thinks the fact that they didn't have standing in those court cases is somehow in his favor. No, that makes it worse. That makes it worse. There was zero actual evidence of the election being stolen. Zero evidence of that happening. And so when it got in front of judges, even judges that were Republican appointed, even judges that were Trump appointed, they went, what are you doing wasting our time? What are you doing? This is ridiculous. By the way, funny, I never see him mention anymore the Arizona audit. Remember, these guys told us Trump definitely won Arizona. Arizona was definitely stolen. It's like the one place we can point to where we know for sure it happened. So guess what? In Arizona, all the Republicans got together and they did an official audit. And you know what happened? Not only did Trump lose, he lost by more than we thought he lost by on election day. So they went through the whole process, they recounted, and boom. Exact same result. And he's busy listening to idiots like Mike Lindell, who come up with lies, the MyPillow guy, former crackhead, making up lies about the election. Sidney Powell released the Kraken. She never fucking released a Kraken. Rudy Giuliani, Mr. Dye streaming down his face, filing for bankruptcy, did a quadrillion-dollar defamation against some innocent poll workers. These are the people he's listening to. These are where he says his evidence comes from, his facts come from. This is nonsense. This is nonsense. Guys, I need you to understand something. In the 2022 midterms, where Republicans massively underperformed, everybody was predicting a red wave. Remember that? I didn't. But everybody was predicting a red wave. 51% of the Republican candidates in that election were election deniers. one variety or flavor of them or another. Some of them were worse offenders. Some of them were less bad, but still election deniers, right? You know what happened? Those candidates got draxed. They got their asses handed to them. In fact, the more Trumpy they were, the more they denied the election, the worse they did. Trump's hand-picked candidates in so many election cycles shit the bed. Blake Masters, Carrie Lake, Doug Mastriano, Herschel Walker, all these people shit the bed. Because it turns out there is one line for American voters where they go, you know what? This is not healthy. This is not acceptable. This is actually very dangerous. And that line is, for the love of God, stop spreading bullshit about the 2020 election. And remember, guys, people bring up January 6th all the time. The part that's not brought up nearly enough is the fraudulent elector slates. That's not brought up nearly enough. Yes, January 6th was, they stormed the Capitol, there was a mob, it was a riot, etc. They were trying to delay the certification of Joe Biden being approved and tried to keep Trump in there. But the other part of that plot involved, their words, not mine, fraudulent elector schemes. So they sent fake slates of electors to say, actually, Trump won, even though there's no evidence he won in these various swing states. And they even did it after the respective governors and secretaries of state said, no, this thing is over. Biden won these states. It's over. They said, okay, we're going to do our fake elector slates anyway and try to force Mike Pence to reject the certification and make it so that Trump can stay in office. They were debating seizing the voting machines and declaring fucking martial law. Trump tried to pressure Bill Barr at the Department of Justice to send out fake letters saying this election was fraudulent. And that's why Bill Barr had to resign. He's like, I'm not going to overturn American democracy because your fucking ego is bruised because you lost the election. American voters reject this completely. And he couldn't bring himself. He literally quoted to his face, hey, you said the other day on Lex Friedman's show and you said elsewhere we lost by a whisker. So you're finally acknowledging you actually lost. And he goes, no, that was sarcasm. We actually won. This was the moment where I think I tweeted it. It's like he's trying to lose. This is like him trying to lose. Let me lean into the worst aspects of myself and the Republicans. Let me remind Americans that, hey, you guys thought you guys are too dangerous and extreme in order to put you back in power. This is why they underperformed in the 2022 midterms. By the way, you know where else Republicans are underperforming? In all the special elections since. Trump overperformed the polls in 2016 and in 2020. But every election since then, the more Trumpy the candidate, the worse they do. It's the standard Republicans who are way outperforming the Trump Republicans. And this is Trump at his most Trumpy, being like, I'm the same fucking guy, bro. All the shit you hate about me, all the shit you think goes too far, I'm right here, bitch. I ain't changing at all. And you could tell at the end, the thing he threw in there at the end was like him trying to say, oh, I know my advisor said I shouldn't deny the election. So let me say at the end, like, oh yeah, it's over. And we need to look to the future. But you weren't supposed to give that first long diatribe about how you're convinced you won when all of the evidence is that you lost. It truly is incredible. It truly is incredible, man. So that could be the moment. If he loses, we're going to look back and say, this was the moment where he reminded Americans, this is who I am, this is what I am, and it ain't fucking changing. It's not changing. And it's at moments like this that you remember, oh, that's right, he was on Truth Social saying we should terminate all rules, regulations, and articles in the Constitution in order to get me back in power. You think your normie American is going to look at that and say, yeah, give that guy more power. 0% chance. 0% chance. So he didn't just shoot himself in the foot. He shot himself in the dick here. This was ugly. This was ugly, and there are going to be repercussions. There are going to be consequences for leaning into this. Something that is so brazenly, factually untrue. Something that is laughable, and something that people know the implications here are dangerous. The implications are, I'm still denying that I lost that election, and guess what do you think is going to happen in 2024? If he loses, he's going to do the same fucking shit. And by the way, just to remind you, there are 70 hardcore MAGA election deniers who are on boards that are supposed to certify the results of the election in swing states. We are 100 miles an hour towards a constitutional crisis right now, and very few people are pointing it out. But you know who's screaming it from the rooftops that this is going to happen? Donald Trump. And I think people are waking up to it. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.